Watching the moment comes, you will learn.
Wow, that song means so much to me. If you've ever heard it, it says, "With every broken bone, I swear I lived." A lot of people say fitness and nutrition experts should know everything. I'm going to tell you a few stories today that show you maybe not. I have a question for you. Has anyone in this room ever not done something because of your health? Because something about your health was holding you back. So not because you weren't capable. Maybe it looked like pain. Maybe it looked like hormones. Maybe it looked like you had gained weight. Or more importantly, maybe it was more like, I just don't recognize my body anymore. I want you to kind of hold on to that for just a moment. I'm going to tell you a story. In 2017, my whole world shifted. My husband grew up in California and he wanted to move back to California. This is where he wanted to be. And we've been living in Virginia. As you just heard, I had bodybuilding shows, I had nutrition stores, everything that I knew was in Virginia. But my husband today, we've been married 26 years. So back in 2017, when he said, "Will you move?" I said, "Okay." So we picked up our first grader and our third grader and we moved across the country. But I didn't know anybody. California was brand new to me. We'd come on vacations. I'd never been here before. And so when the local mom said, "Do you want to come to the beach with us?" I said, "Sure." It'll be a great opportunity for my kids to meet other kids, for me to meet other moms, and for us to hang out. And so we're all hanging out on the beach, having a great time, and I look out, and in the water, I see my daughter, and she's struggling. You know that moment when you see somebody and they go under the water, and then they come back up, and you know that they're struggling to breathe? She was literally drowning in front of me, and I stood there on the beach looking at her, and in that moment, I paused. So one of the greatest moments of my life, I paused, and the reason why is just moments before, I had been introduced to all the moms on the beach as that former pro bodybuilder, as the fitness and nutrition expert that tells people every single day what to eat, how to exercise, to live their best health. And so in that moment, though, I was 25 pounds overweight. I was in a body I didn't recognize anymore. And I knew if I took off that cover-up that I was wearing to go into the ocean to save my daughter, that everybody around me would say, "She's a fraud. She's a hypocrite. She tells people what to do and she doesn't look the part." So I want to ask you again, have you ever paused in doing something you knew you needed to do or you should do because something of your health? Now, I don't tell you this story to scare you, but what I tell you this story for is it can change your entire life. Now, before I go on, let me just say, in the 5 seconds it took me to contemplate, do I take off his cover-up and go get my daughter, the junior lifeguard next to me swooped in, picked up my daughter, and in 5 seconds she was standing right next to me. And so living in Southern California, you can guess that my kids have done not 1, but 2 full years of junior lifeguards. So I never, ever have to worry about my kids being at the ocean. So fast forward 6 months later, and I remember it was my 40th birthday. I was still dealing with being 25 pounds overweight. Nothing about my fitness changed. My nutrition didn't change. I'm the expert and I couldn't fix it. So when there's an issue with your health, what do? You go to the doctor, right? So I went to the doctor and I said, "I need you to run all my hormones, everything. Thyroid, blood sugar, everything. Something is wrong and I need to figure out what it was." So when I sit down with the doctor and she says everything is normal, I looked at her and I said, "I do this for a living. This is what I tell people what to do. I cannot be overweight as a fitness and nutrition expert." And I said, "I am this close to committing suicide because I can't handle this anymore." And so I left armed with my antidepressants that day and went home. And when I got home, I called my best friend and I cried on the phone. And I said, "I can't fix this. I can't fix me." And she said, now I was 40, she is 45, and she said, it is our hormones. I know it's our hormones. Now, today, you hear about perimenopause and menopause all the time, right? Thank you to all the superstars that are screaming it from the rooftops. But 8 years ago, nobody had even heard the word perimenopause. And so Dr. Stacia Kelly and I, note the doctor there too, we went and did all the research we could. We talked to every doctor, every fitness and nutrition expert that would listen to us about what we need to do. And a year later, I had lost the 25 pounds, and she had lost the 65 pounds. So we fixed us. But what I knew was this was going to be a problem for other women. Because to see what we found out is that hormones for women are critical. And when your hormones start to change, and maybe if you haven't been living under a rock, you've heard people talk about menopause and estrogen and progesterone. When those hormones start to change, every other hormone in your body changes. And everything you used to do and everything you knew for the first 35, 40 years of your lives looks totally different. And so since that time, I have helped hundreds of women change. But this is the part that breaks my heart. When these women reach out to me, what they say to me is they say, I am not in the photos with my family anymore because I don't like the way I look. I do not stand in front of the boardrooms anymore because I'm afraid of what people are going to say with me standing up there. And so I work with them and I help them to feel better, to make the changes that they need. Did you know that 80% of women, when they hit the epitome of their career between the ages of 40 and 55, that's exactly when their hormones start to change. That's exactly when women start to say, I don't feel like myself anymore. I remember my client, Jane, that came to me. She had just turned 50, and she said, I need to stand in front of boardrooms. I need to command the audience. I am a salesperson, but I don't want anyone to look at this frumpy 50-year-old up on that stage and say, I'm not going to listen to her. So she came to me, we worked together, we fixed her health, and she went on to be that company's best damn salesperson ever. Because she got her confidence back because she fixed her health. And so my mission is really simple. I want women out of those cover-ups and back in those photos. Because there's something pretty amazing that happens when women do that. Now, I hadn't shared this story with any of you here this weekend, and you guys probably didn't know, but as I'm giving you this presentation, I'm standing up here with a broken back. My vertebrae is broken, my L4 is broken, my disc between my L4 and my L5 is herniated. So yes, I am very cautious of this stage and moving on it. I have surgery scheduled for 2 months from now. I had too many things I had to do. They literally told me when I went to the appointment, if you get in a bad car accident, we are worried that you will literally become paralyzed. And once again, I said, okay, God, I hear you. I get it. And after I totally broke down and lost it and said, why me? Why are we doing this again? I said, because you know what's going to happen? If you listen to social media, they keep telling women in perimenopause and menopause, you have to take care of your bones. So I'm here to tell you, menopause broke me. It literally frickin' broke me. I've been in menopause for 1.5 years. At 48, I'm pretty young for that. But I am gonna make sure that women no longer hide behind their health, that they do the damn thing that they need to do, because when women step up and when women step into their power, they change the entire world. Thank you.